A few quick words before this episode of Living Life Juicy. This is recorded live at Point Mugu State Beach as part of last episode's challenge of doing something where you're probably going to fail. And as I mentioned in this episode, that I'm committed to posting this. And the raw footage would have been pretty easily identified as a failure. But I did a couple of things to edit it to make it a little bit more tolerable for you, the viewer and listener. The sound is really off. I'm not even centered in the video, but I did my best to correct it. So I wanted to let you know that before you dove into this, and so you can understand a little bit of the challenges. Another thing I mentioned during the episode is that I would love to do more of these remote broadcasts. But YouTube says that you have to have at least 100 listeners in order to use their mobile app. So please subscribe to this and my other podcasts so that I could do some of these remote broadcasts and you guys can see some of the adventures that I go on. So thank you very much, and on with the episode. John Losey. I'm living an experiment this year to see if I can be kind as I do great things in this world. And so each week or so, I try and post a video on the YouTube channel that kind of goes over how my life is going as I try to live it juicy. So first, let's talk about last week's challenge. It was to do something that you're probably going to fail at. And I realized as I lived out this week that there's a lot of stuff that you can do that you fail at that isn't that big of a deal. Because it's hidden. There's no risk involved. And if there's no risk, then that failure isn't as challenging. Now, I also qualified it, said don't go out and make risky investments, but decide on something that you can try that you're most likely going to fail at. And I should have put in there something around the consequences. Now, financial, probably not the best experiment, but at least make it public. So the first thing that I tried, and I realized I could have totally kept it private, but I listened to a podcast, 99% Invisible with Roman Mars. And he was talking about flags and how city flags suck. Most of them don't do a good job. And he gave some rules, and I decided I was going to give a shot to creating a flag for my city, Newbury Park, California. As a matter of fact, it's just over the mountains from this spot here at Point Mugu State Beach. So I tried it. And what I wanted to do was follow the rules, make it as simple as possible, visible from a long way away, no words or letters, but also symbolic. So what I did is I came up with this, and it's printed out poorly, and I might put a picture over this. But basically, it's a silhouette of Boney Mountain, which Newbury Park is in the shadow of, blue skies above the mountain, and then green fields, which a lot of the times those fields are brown because it's dry. But this is a shot, and what makes this a risk is I'm showing it to you guys. So again, the printer didn't turn out so well, but I gave it a shot. So that was my risk. The other risk is doing this here. I'm filming this with a new camera setup and a microphone down at the beach where it's probably going to be really loud. So I'm committed to posting this regardless of how it comes out. So this becomes my probability of failure because there's so many things that can go wrong. The other thing that I learned is that YouTube doesn't allow you to post live through their remote or their phone or iPad apps unless you have 100 or more followers. So I'd love to do more remote broadcasts like this and do them live, but I need some help. I need some people to subscribe to this so we can go over 100. So please do that. So this week, Living Life Juicy. Well, One of the things was Super Bowl. Here's another risk I took. I was rooting for the Eagles, and guess what? They won. That was kind of cool. So that was a small thing, but still. And I got to tell you, this has been a tough week. I haven't been following through on all the things that I want to in order to both build my business, but also just follow through on life. I'm searching for a good app. I used to use an app called Mindfulness, where you basically build a tree and you build that tree and keep it healthy by doing the things that you say, and that isn't supported anymore. So I don't have that, and I'm using that as an excuse not to do a lot of the things that I should. And I shouldn't rely on an app to get me going. So there's some room for improvement there. I'm trying to build an online learning platform that really tackles the gap between the convenience of online learning and the effectiveness of online. So I haven't been spending the time that I need to there. And again, I could beat myself up about it, or I can go ahead and do it. So that's what I took my son, my 4-year-old, to visit the school that he's probably going to be attending next year. And it was really fun to encounter a principal at the school who's very passionate. And as I walked around the school, I saw all these little handmade signs that were reminding the students to be kind. And if you know what this channel is about, it's about being kind as you do great things. And we got to talking as we were doing the tour, the principal and I talked about their mindfulness program. And I love the fact that they have an expert coming in, a coach coming in and help the students learn about mindfulness. That's wonderful, and I think that's only half of the equation, because as we talked about it, it helps students be present and control themselves. But the second part of that, I think, is how do you enter back into the world and continue to be present while you act in the world. You can't always live in a timeout in a place where you're getting your mindfulness set. You've got to enter back into the world. And so I think there's that combination of mindfulness and resilience, of being able to both catch yourself as you're not really thinking about what you're doing and become centered and present, but then step back into your everyday life, because kindness is an act, it's not passive. Once you figure out how you're responding or reacting to a situation, you have to enter back in. And so that was a really great conversation, and exploring how you do that with kids, but really, how do you do that for me, for myself? How do we both stay present and mindful and act in the world to be kind and do great things? So that was my kind of aha, thoughtful moment about living life juicy last week. And it reminds me of a great program. In Ventura, California, there's a garment company called Dude Be Nice. Dude Be Nice. And it's kind of some really cool t-shirts and hats and things, but really what they're about is a positive approach to diminishing the amount of bullying that goes on in schools. Instead of being anti-bullying, they're pro-kindness. It gives kids, students, and adults a positive thing to focus on rather than avoiding bullying, avoiding being mean. They're encouraging you to be something, and that is kind, to be nice. Dude, be nice. It's such a great sentiment. As a matter of fact, it goes back to when I was leading executive emotional intelligence programs. We would do a 3-day intensive, amazing program. Talk to me if you want to learn more about that. But I had an executive come back to me and said, hey, that was wonderful. I learned so much. Can you do it at my upcoming conference? And we don't have 3 days. Can you do it in 45 minutes? And part of my promise to myself is any invitation to teach or facilitate is a gift. So I had to figure out, how do I condense this amazing, powerful experience of 3 days into 45 minutes? And what struck me is that I can present the case, but ultimately it comes down to, dude, be nice. So in 45 minutes, I built a case for why being nice and ultimately the brain science behind why it's important. But then we just walked away thinking about, how do we be kind? How do we be nice? How do we notice people? So that's what I wanted to highlight this week as one of my favorite things is, dude, be nice. Check out their website and maybe buy some clothes and support their mission to help kids learn how to be nice as they do great things. So remember, if we want more remote sites, this is beautiful Point Mugu State Beach, one of my favorite spots. In fact, this is the rock I was talking about with the seagull poop. Please subscribe. If I get more than 100 subscribers, then we could do more of these remote access things. So have a great day. This week's challenge is to, dude, be nice. Find something simple that you can do that's nice, that you wouldn't normally extend yourself doing. So this week's challenge is to just be nice. Dude, be nice.
I like hot sauce. I like it hot, and I like it full of flavor. And if you like hot sauce too, you are going to love the Old Boney Mountain hot sauce collection. Lots of different flavors, lots of different levels of heat. As a matter of fact, the wonderful thing about Old Boney Mountain hot sauce is that it's got a whole range of flavors and levels of heat. From Lady of the Mountain, which is more heat or more sweet than heat. It goes great on ice cream and oatmeal and even as a salad dressing, all the way up to my absolute favorite is the Jarhead Red Reaper. It's hot and yet it's full of flavor. So if you're like me and you love hot sauce, then try Old Boney Mountain Hot Sauce Company. Check it out. It's great stuff.